Gopalaratnam Bhuvanaigaratnam Govangana Yavana Bhagyaratnam Shri Krishna Ratnam Surasevyaratnam Bhajamahe Yadavamsharatnam. Hari, Hari, Hari Om Tas. Hari Om Tas. Jai Jai. You must be wondering. In our ashram, when Mataji Sulabhadevi was there, she was always reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day. My interest in Srimad Bhagavatam, you can say to some extent, or not to some extent, my interest in Bhagavatam actually was instilled by Mataji on the one hand, and there was another, a Nambudiri Brahmin lady, an young-age widow who had no child, called Savitri Andarjanam. This Savitri Andarjanam particularly told me, Swamiji, I somehow want to make you interested in Srimad Bhagavatam. She came to Uragam and conducted a Saptaham herself, saying that I am doing it for you. So I used to go there. That was the time I was staying in Uragam. So these two women are really behind my interest in Srimad Bhagavatam. I was always given to think about Krishna, and in my young days, I was a man of poetry. My interest is in poetry. If our Upanishads were not in poetry, the great literature must have missed me. I would not have read them. And similarly, our Mahabharatam, Ramayanam, all our Puranas, Itihasas and subsidiary texts, together with Srimad Bhagavatam, if all of them were not poetic literature, I don't think they would have got me at all. So this Krishna Bhakti, Krishna devotion, etc. was very much in my mind and heart. In the 1980s, I got some time. I was sitting in the ashram. I did not have much of other work. I used to go for an evening walk in the coal fields, paddy fields nearby. Before that, I used to write poetry. And I have written primarily on Krishna a number of poems. It was all in Malayalam. Every day I used to write 20 full verses of 4 lines each and a proper meter. So I think I have written about more than 1,000 verses on Krishna alone. Krishna means referring to it with a great background. What is a human body? What is human life? In what way is it different from the rest of creatures? Why is it man is erect on his feet? Why is the spinal cord straight, perpendicular to the earth? And why is the head on top of the body? All other creatures you will find, their spine is parallel to the earth. And we are the only people. Recently I was told by somebody, man is not supposed to run. People animals with 4 legs, they run. Actually, 2 feet animals do not run. So we have Olympic games, etc. to run. We are not supposed to be running. We can only walk, not run. So there is a lot of understanding that we have to have. So I began like this and started, finally ended up in Krishna's birth and stopped. So I would like to recite one or two verses. We are always reciting Sanskrit verses, which Sanskrit is unknown to you. So today I thought I would recite one or two Malayalam verses which I have composed. Shall I recite?
Yes.
You can get a peep into my life. See, I was the last child. After having my food, perhaps reading for a while the school lessons, etc., I would go and lie on a mat on the floor. And mother would finish the day's work, finally wash some vessels, etc., and come and sleep by my side. She was a very good narrator. She would narrate a number of stories. One day she narrated the story of Harishchandra. So Harishchandra's son Lohitaksha, do you know the story? Harishchandra was a man, a truthful person. And Vishwamitra said, he is not truthful, he is untruthful. And to prove his untruthfulness, he subjected Vishwamitra to a number of persecutions. Huh? Harishchandra to a number of. You see, Harishchandra became a slave. His wife was taken away for a price by somebody. And the man who bought his wife, he was whipping her back with a whip. So these stories she used to say. Then this boy and the mother, as slaves, were living in a palace, in a house. Along with other boys, he went to the forest. And they were supposed to cut a very special type of ceremonial grass. So this boy had a sickle in his hand, but he could not know how to operate it, how to cut. So he was standing there. All the other boys cut their respective bundles. Nothing is there. So he was standing. So all of them cut the grass, bundled it up, and they were ready. They said, come along with us, otherwise we will leave you and go. So this boy extended the sickle to cut. So a cobra bit him. Because of the cobra, he was not cutting. So when the cobra bit him, he fell. When my mother narrated the story, I started crying profusely. You know what my mother did? Cry and cool yourself. Simply stopped her narration and allowed me to cry. This was the beginning of my spiritual life. I have put it in this manner because it is a poem that I wrote. I have not by hearted it. So it says, Pandangandammagal pichadu mudalolivai Kariyannullilendo Vardhichu naalkunaalai Adadirukaviyanulla Vatsalyamai Bhavattin pavanatvam vazhiyaruliya Tan bhava sampadanathal Sampurna snehamayittadu Sadadamida muttu Nidananyanai. Sometime back, many years back, my mother was narrating to me a story. She was narrating and I was listening. During that course, something entered into me. That crying, it entered into me. And it remained there. Vardhichu naalkunaalai ada. Every day it was progressing, growing and growing. Vardhichu naalkunaalai adadirgaviyanulla vatsalyamai. It went on growing and growing to become a boundless affection. So what I have for Krishna is affection. With Krishna, I can do and I can say anything. I have written some very interesting poems. So I was telling Pranati, somebody was asking me, Medini, Swamiji, why your Vicharasarani is not publishing it? I said, it is for you to decide. So many years back I have written. I have written maybe 1,000 or 2,000 verses altogether. One is on poetry, another is on my marriage, another is Grihapravesha, entry into the house. Like that I have written, one is on birthday. First poem I wrote was on mother. Maybe 156 verses are there. Mother. So, it went on increasing and increasing. But something more happened. Bhavattin pavanatvam vazhiyaruliya bhavasampadanatal. These are all very wonderful usages. See, there is something called attitude in your mind. It is the attitude and aim that determine and shape every action of yours. Otherwise, the action is only a movement or a vibration. But the attitude with which you do it and the aim you want to accomplish, attitude and aim are shaping the action. So, what entered my mind underwent a revolution in the hands of the attitude and aim I had in my mind. And it made it purer and purer and purer as days passed. And now, what is it? Sampurna snehamayita sadadamida muttu. It is now shining as an all-fold love. What further? Nidannanyanai. You have become I. This is what I have written. One of the poems I have written on Krishna, you will be finding it interesting. So I am asking Krishna, Bandham namnaya agattan mahimayadhigamakkeenamennullilortittano nee jadanayi katinatha pozhiyum koottilakkuriruttil. Where was Krishna born? In the prison. And that too at midnight. Not in daytime. So it was a prison where cruelty alone was. Nothing else was there. Then immediately after you were born, what did you do? You revealed your form and told the parents that I am going to leave. Immediately take me. Put me in a basket and put the basket on your head. Start walking. You have to cross the river right at midnight. Go there. Place the child there. Place me there and bring back the girl for my uncle to kill. Why did you choose to do all this? Is it because your ability to undo bondage should go on increasing? Tanpettor kettazhichittavarudaya arigil ambi ninnan kaatti tannishtatthalagannon avanuda purage ninnidam anbu thedi. So we should understand when we are fond of Krishna, who is this Krishna? He is somebody who decided to be born in a prison. And both the parents were chained mercilessly. And that too at midnight. Then soon after birth, he leaves the parents, asks them, and he has never met them anymore, except in Mathura much later. So, such a person is the one whose proximity we seek, whose blessings and association we want. But be prepared. Be prepared. We are going after him, thinking that he will love us, reciprocate our love, and fondness. But this is the type of person who he was. Careful. So don't be disappointed in Krishna Bhakti, but become more prepared and more resourceful. Asianet wanted me to give a weekly program, and I continued to speak for about 11 years. More than 1 million people were listening to me. Even now people come to the ashram, people who were listening to the program. It was called Mukti Sudhagara. So when the person came and asked me that I will come to the ashram and record your speech. So I said, for the first time I am going to speak in front of a microphone and nobody will be there. Of course, I had given some talks in All India Radio. There also there was nobody. So, I composed a poem. So many years I have been talking, my dear Krishna, in front of an audience who was visible before me. Now you are asking me to talk in front of a microphone with nobody in my front. Will I be able to do it? So stand by my side to see that I do it well. So this was the content of a poem I made. So I sometimes write like this. When the doctor asked me to take some voice rest, I wrote a poem. What is it? My dear Lord, you have to be very careful. The doctor has asked me not to speak. Now, why my throat is strained? I would like to ask you, why did it get strained? I was only speaking about you and your glory. If people like me stop talking, you will never be known in the world. You have no mouth to speak and you have no body to be. So understand that I have been talking about you, whatever you want the people to know, that I have been giving expression to. If my voice is obstructed, tell me whose is the loss. This I always say. If I am not able to have some little resources to do whatever I want, tell me whose is the loss. Because I totally depend upon you, I live you. Such a person, if he is handicapped and he is not able to do what he wants in the form of benevolence and help to the people, tell me whose reputation is at stake. I wrote. I can talk about the elderly Krishna and his Bhagavad Gita and the message he gave to Uddhava, and so many other times he has spoken in Srimad Bhagavata, etc. All that I like to speak, but not so much on childhood. I am not the one. But nevertheless, I gave one talk in our Srimad Bhagavata, Tattva Samiksha Satram, one day. How was the talk, Swamiji? Ma, you were there?
Vijayam was telling me during COVID, we are all confined. Then we started having initially some talks through live streaming at that time. Our channel was not there. So Swamiji started giving some talks. Then this Vijayam and Narayan, they are very close devotees and they stay in Erode. After Swamiji's few talks, then they said that, and Janmashtami was coming. They said that, Ma, you should talk on Sri Krishna, Krishna's. Because I had given one lecture on Sri Krishna's, what was it? Pranks of Sri Krishna or something like that in Satram, one lecture. So they said, why don't you talk on Srimad Bhagavatam? That is how the glories of Sri Krishna, 5 lectures I spoke. So then they said, shall I tell? The Swamiji also spoke after you spoke, after I spoke in Satram about small Krishna. Swamiji gave one lecture on. They said Swamiji's was not as sweet as Ma's. Ma should speak on Krishna. Swamiji can talk on other things.
So this Krishna's life, this playfulness, etc., I generally don't like to speak. So, though I recite verses. See, he was stealing butter. Why was he stealing butter? Because people don't have the tendency to give to others. Every time he was stealing, he was eating a small quantity and he was giving to the monkeys and cats and the others. Now this is something that you will have to do if you are given to feeding animals, feeding birds and giving something to the others. No, Krishna would not have stolen. So he was teaching them to be kind and serviceable to the others. This was the lesson he wanted to drive home to them. So many such things are there which are to be deeply thought about. All of you hear the story and smile. That's all. That smiling is not the important point there. See, he was a little boy. So he went to a house. The Gopikas had kept it very clean, beautiful. So when he stood there, he was so delightful that he passed urine there. He was so happy. They should not have kept it clean. If they had not kept it clean, he would not have pissed there. So what could he do? He could only... It was. I think doctors will have to be asked, when a person is very blissful, happy, will the kidneys start blood? There are very many interesting statements. Everything is very profound and meaningful. But people only like to see and hear these little stories here and there. This Sri Krishna Karnamritam is a text sometimes from which we are, some 2 or 3 verses would be there in the 7th class or 8th class for us to learn. That is how we were introduced into Sri Krishna Karnamritam. So Krishna has spoken a lot, discussed matters with Rukmini, and so many other places, in many places, beautiful statements he has made, explanations he has given. I would like to speak on all these. So when I speak, I would like to explain and give the profundity of the statements, going in depth into it. So that is not very much liked by people. They like to hear something lighter. Krishna has spoken only on 2 occasions, really. One is in the battlefield to enlighten Arjuna. The talk must have lasted for about 2 to 2.5 hours. The Bhagavad Gita consists of 700 Sanskrit verses. Whereas the talk he gave leisurely to Uddhava sitting in the palace of Ayodhya consists of 1000 Sanskrit verses. So at least it must have been a 3-hour or 3.5-hour talk. These are the 2 messages. The message given to Arjuna is how to live and act in this world and try to sublimate, overcome all the hazards, challenges and persecutions. So it is an interactional philosophy that he presented to Arjuna. But that does not complete the message. Our message will be complete only when we have passed our youth, the active interactional life. Even cricket players have to retire. They say goodbye and get away from the cricket field. So we have to retire at one point of time, say 60 years or so. After that, nobody dies. People live at least 80 years, 85 years. So after retirement, you have some 20 to 25 years. And what is the end of that life? Fall of the body. So what should be the preparation that you have in order to have a retired life and be ready for the fall of the body? That message should also be given. That is the message given to Uddhava, sitting comfortably and leisurely in the palace of Dwaraka. These two instructions together will be a full treatment for human life. We don't require anything else. But people should also read, just like they read Bhagavad Gita, they should also read the other Gita, which is popularly called as Uddhava Gita. It is discussing human life in all its completeness. There are statements which say how a householder should live and what all he should do, what should be his attitude while living in a household. So this kind of an decoration, last year also we had it, looking very nice, because a lighting, the brilliance of a lamp, especially in this manner, very festive, nice to look at. What have we done? Nothing. It is not oil there, is it oil? So when we look, see, you feel a lot pleasant when you look at the brilliance of the lamp. And so many lamps kept together, they become a festivity.